Quality management has been a big part of my life, but usually it's always at the tail end where I'm concerned about mistakes that I've made or errors or grammatical errors, typos, things of that sort. And so when I first approached this topic, I was very much focused on that, like what's the perfect checklist? And so I've had so many checklists that I've used over the years, and I have what I call a template graveyard of things that I started using, and then I started making a new one, and I'm like, oh, didn't I do this before? Then I remember what, and I thought something's missing, like something's not right about just this constant waiting until the end and then going through this checklist. So I started actually studying quality management as a discipline and learned that it's not a matter of taking, quality management and integrating it into L&D. It is actually taking L&D and integrating it into quality management. Like, quality management should be the foundation of everything we do. It's the story of L&D. And so I really began to realize that this is a process that starts from the very beginning. It starts at the top and trickles all the way down. So a lot of those symptoms that things I was finding in the checklist, those are just symptoms to the larger problem. I wasn't addressing the problem, which was my process, how much time I was allocating, when I was doing reviews, who I was including in the review process. All of that is what culminates in a class that's sustainable, not just a checklist at the end. And so I thought this is not something I can do on my own. This is like a cultural change, a shift that I would like to share with the rest of the industry. And so that was my idea behind the book. I would say that the focus really should be on the overall process and how it works alongside or inside of L&D and all of your production. I think that a core principle that we're missing here is that we don't just create training, we create product. Your workbook is a product, your e-learning is a product, and even though we don't consider ourselves writers or programmers per se, we make a lot of the same decisions that they make. We have the same timelines, we have the same outputs that they have, and so we should begin to start treating these products like the products that they are. We should respect our work in a way that an author would or that a programmer would, and so we should see it that same way. Those products do have oversight. You can get a graduate degree in quality assurance for the software industry, yet we are just creating all of these modules without a lot of background education in it, first of all, but certainly not the oversight that it needs. And so the core principle is what you're doing is creating a product, and it should be respected as such. But that is not just a checklist at the end. That is an overall holistic view of how you're producing these products and how they're going to impact the public overall. You're not alone. You're not alone in this. Even though how you practice learning and development largely depends on where you work, there are some constants that sort of follow all of us. And that's what I love about conferences like this. And the message in my book, or one of the things I focus on, is there's not going to be one cure-all. There's not going to be like this blanket, this is how you do it. You have to go in and you have to actually do the work. You're going to have to talk to people. You're going to see what works for you. And it's also a very flexible and scalable way of doing it. I encourage people not to come in and just go full bore and we're going to create this comprehensive system. Start in pieces a little at a time. It's ongoing. One of the hallmarks of quality management is continuous improvement. And not only are you going to work on that for your products, but the system itself is going to need that continuous improvement as well. Well, first, I would tell them that, this isn't something that you do necessarily for one project or one product. This is something that you may have to, I think I sort of explain it, where you're building a highway system while taking the backwoods, in that you are, actually dreaming of doing something bigger at the same time while you're working on that. So I would, let them know that if there's something that they wanted to do right away, the best way to not be overwhelmed is scope, is to make sure you have control of that scope. Don't try and do everything. Say, for example, you're just going to do the e-learning courses that are created through Storyline. You're not going to do video, you're not going to do instructor-led, you're not going to do documentation, you're just going to do that. So you just focus on that, you build a system for that, you test it, and then you begin to expand and bring things in. This is always going to start from a seed that's going to continue to grow and grow and grow. And that's, I think, what's different about this from a lot of these processes. This becomes a lifestyle. You will live with this. It is a breathing, eating, mechanism here. It's not just, oh, we're going to do it and here we go. It's going to be, it can continuous and continuous and continuous, because quality, I talk about the quality first mindset, it is going to be first. It is going to be the thing that you are going to adhere to. You're going to have that overall mission that you're going to be focusing all the time. So it's going to be continuous, and you're going to be constantly trying to find ways to support it. But that support is going to grow. At first, it's just going to be wobbly, right? Because you don't have the fullest support under it. But that's fine, because you will grow. Because honestly, you don't know yet what it needs to be supported. You don't know yet. So to just go running out, you're not sure, and then it all falls apart. You're like, why did that fall? We had all these systems. It wasn't the right type of support. So scope will save you every time. Start small and then keep building. But you're only going to do that if you fully embrace that this is something that we absolutely need to do. We have no choice, because if you give yourself a choice, then you're not going to do it, right? So don't give yourself a choice. This is something that's going to be integrated into everything that we do. It's so important. It's going to overshadow everything, because quality is the most important thing. So yeah, I would definitely tell them to focus on scope. Figure out what are the success factors or the markers of success of that scope, and then begin to let it grow.
Yeah.